Welcome to another week of the GridCenter. It's yours truly, your boy Sherm Brown. And again, as every week, we come to bring you heat. Today I'm in the studio all by myself. Special guest couldn't make it today. Weather changes. Y'all know how that rain is in Vegas. It's probably better if you stay at home anyway. People can't drive, roads get slick. But nevertheless, I promised you I was going to bring you heat. And here we go. But before we get started, of course, I got to mention our sponsors because they're the ones who pay the bills here. So first sponsor is Nevada State Bank, where all your banking needs are met, where you get the big corporate rates and fees, or lack of fees, but the hometown local appeal of a small bank. So for all your banking needs, go to Nevada State Bank for your home, auto, or checking account services. And also for Clover Business Solutions. If you are a small to medium-sized business, give your local Clover rep a call, or give me a call and I'll point you in the right direction to get discounts on your credit card processing, free equipment, anything for your business needs that you can utilize. Call your local Clover rep. Now, with all that being said, I also want to give a shout out to everybody that played this week and put everything on the line. I want to thank my engineer and my cameraman, Dion, who's back from vacation. Him and his beautiful wife had an amazing time and shared some great stories, something I want to do. But we're back now, and y'all are back, and y'all showed that on the field this week. This week may have been the best week of close, hard-fought games we've had all season. We didn't let the weather, we didn't let the time change affect any of that. Y'all came and balled out. And as I always say, we like to start with the players of the week, those ones who put it all out there. The crazy thing is, it took me 2 days just to decide who should be the player of the week. I had to confer with my counsel, my cameramen, and other people who are good at the game, the referees as well. It was difficult to narrow it down and to pick one player of the week because y'all all balled out. But this is the GridCenter, right? So we got to make those tough decisions. And in the morning, the player of the week, I mean, he's probably tired of it right now because he got a bunch of those medals hanging around his neck right now. I'm talking about Jeremy G of the Serial Killers. The last few weeks, he's been as hot as fish grease. This week, he threw over 370 yards in the air and had 4 touchdowns to go with it. And of course, they won the game. I mean, you put up stats like that. I mean, what else can happen, right? But Jeremy G is a staple in the Player of the Week rankings. I mean, he's one of the top quarterbacks in the city. What else do you expect, right? So, salute and shout out. Make sure that you get your medals this week. And at night, this one was difficult. The reason why is because the Player of the Week's quarterback was Jeremy G, who balled out at night as well. But he didn't win Night Player of the Week. Just to give you an example, at night, some of the ones who didn't make Player of the Week, but I want to make sure they get a shout out. Nick C from Balls Deep was all over the field, catching touchdown, rushing touchdown, interception, and a sack, all over the field. But he didn't get Player of the Week. Also, as I mentioned, Jeremy G, but Tim Huff, receiving touchdown, 100 yards receiving, and a pick 6. But he wasn't Player of the Week either. And all of them have won Player of the Week this season. So it shows you the level of talent and competition that's out there. But the Player of the Week this week is a newcomer to the Player of the Week. Now, he's a vet, been around for years. Talk a lot of trash, but he backs it up. And he didn't back it up just on the defensive side where he locked down people as a cornerback, but he was the star receiver of the number 1 team in the league, Justice League. And I'm talking about Shamario, Mr. Shamrock himself, Mr. Seminole himself. 3 catches. Count them. 1, 2, 3 catches. 130 yards. 130 yards. But on those 3 catches, 3 touchdowns. Also had the game-winning touchdown. Had the game-winning extra point. Had multiple extra points. Had multiple pass deflections, including a pass deflection that ended the game. He was all over the field today. Talked his trash with it, and he gonna let you know about it. So, shout out to the players of the week. Jeremy G in the morning, Shamario at night. For the players of the week, you will be getting your player of the week medals this coming up Sunday. Salute to y'all for balling out and being the true champions that you are. So let's get into the morning rankings. Like I told y'all, it's hot over here, right? Even in the cold weather. The crazy thing about the morning is some of the top teams in the country have been at the bottom of the rankings, had upsets. This time of year it gets cold. It's early in the morning. People don't want to wake up. Still got crust in their eyes. Barely staggering to the field after a long night of drinking. And it'll catch up to you. So, with that being said, we see some shifts from last week's rankings. As I always say, we start from the bottom and we work our way up to the top. Our 6th ranked team in the morning. Unfortunately, this team is no stranger to being at the bottom of the rankings. Now, they hopped up last week and moved up to the 5th spot. But they got shellacked this week. Took a L, took a donut, and they fall right back down to the bottom. They come out, they try, they scrap every week, but they end up on the short end of the stick. I'm talking about Cakes and Snakes. Frank and his crew, they're still out there scrappy, working their way through it. Got the females out there balling, but this week they bring up the rear at the number 6 spot, Cakes and Snakes. Our number 5 team. Our number 5 team has been at the top. They're now at the 5th. Competition gets tough. They got all the talent in the world, and it wouldn't surprise me if at the end of the season they're holding the Grid Cup as champions. They're that good. But like I said, all the teams have been at the bottom of this ranking because of the competition level. I'm talking about all the smoke. They played another tough game this week. They came up short. They got all the talent. It's obvious that they do. And you're going to see that same theme throughout all the teams in the morning because it's like shuffling a deck of cards. It depends who wants to wake up in the morning, who's motivated to come out and play. We're in the back stretches of the season, though, so you better come prepared. Seeding means a lot. We're going to talk about where the playoff rankings and what the brackets look like moving forward. But right now, all the smoke is our number 5 team. Our number 4 team was 6 last week. Again, nationally ranked. Hall of Fame quarterback. Hall of Fame players all over the field. They came out. They balled out this week. I'm talking about The Last Dance, a.k.a. the Bunnies. Disco balled out. The defense showed up as well, too. They went out. They beat the number 3 team with Sin City. But again, record means something as well, too. And if you can't get up every week, you're going to take those L's and you're going to find yourself in the 4th spot. The Last Dance is our number 4 ranked team. Our number 3 ranked team is the aforementioned Sin City Goons. T. Jones has been balling out all season. They came up short this week, though, to the Last Dance. But based on record, they're still our number 3 team ahead of the Last Dance. There's a lot of football to be played, so all these rankings are going to work themselves out one way or another. I'm sure of it. Our number 2 ranked team. Top quarterback in the league right now. Jeremy G is running the ship over there. They're balling out. They've taken some L's. They also had some struggles early on in the season with the passing of Kurt Lindsey. And so I know that weighed heavily on them. Then they lost their captain, Frank Mendez, to a broken foot out in the season. They've had a lot of turmoil going that they had to deal with this season. And it held them down for a little bit. But like champions do, they pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and come out swinging. They did that this week. They didn't get caught sleeping where some teams do. Like I said, Jeremy has been hot as fish grease. They come in as the number 2 team. Now, it's not easy for them because next week they play The Last Dance. These teams are familiar with one another. They travel together. They played with one another. That's going to be our game of the week next week. That's Serial Killers versus The Last Dance. But we got to get to the number one team. And as you saw last week, I had two of my counterparts here who play for this team. This is what they're shooting for. They want to be number one, not just in the regular season, but at the end of the season. I always talk about they talk all the trash. They're highly motivated. They had a trap game this week against Cakes and Snakes. And when they played them earlier in the season, that game went down to the wire and they almost lost. They were focused this week. They got their butt up. They put the Henny in the drawer. And they was ready to play Cakes and Snakes. And 4-touchdown win shows that they are truly on their horse and motivated. The two-headed monster between Tyler and Smooth was on all cylinders this week. Hemocracy is our morning number one ranked team. Let's see how they do next week, because it's no easy, like I said, it's no easy wins, nigga, right? Next week they got Sin City Goons. We're going to see how they come out to face one of their arch nemesis and their foes. That's the morning rankings for y'all, from the bottom to the top. All right, so let's get into the night league rankings. Like I always say, ain't no easy wins in this league. It's tough every week, and the matchups are ridiculous. You got some of the best teams in the city. You got tournament bred champions in this league as well too. There's close games. There's very rarely any blowouts. You go to some of the other leagues and you see constant blowouts every week. 30, 40, 50, 60 point wins, because there's just, in this league, every week you can take a loss, and you'll see that as well too, because you'll see our former 10th ranked team get no victory over our former 5th ranked team. But we'll get into that in just a second. But like I always say, we start from the bottom, we work our way up. And our 10th ranked team, which is new to the bottom of the barrel, I always talk about the speed that this team has. They haven't been able to put it together, and that's surprising to me, because all these players, if they were free agents, they'll be hot commodities. If their contracts was up, they'll be max players. They just haven't been able to put it all together. In fact, they haven't been able to score in weeks either. So there's some tweaks that need to be done. They are a new team. I expect the best of them moving forward in the coming seasons. Plus, their starting quarterback injured his hand. That takes a toll on you as well. I'm talking about No Limit. The track team, they just have to put it together. But don't sleep on them. You sleep, you end up getting caught. Our 9th ranked team, with their first victory of the season. And you know what? Last season they did the same thing. Started out 0-for, and then they got hot toward the end of the season. Always said they're like the Washington Commanders, maybe even the Clippers. They needed new management, new ownership. I was taking calls. I was taking resumes. They got new management. They got new ownership. And they came out and got their first win. And I don't care how you get the win. I don't care if it's a close game, a blowout, or a forfeit. It's a win on the season. When you look back at it, you're not paying attention on how much you won or lost by. You just see that L or that W next to your name, and you see that record. And guess what? They got their first win of the season. They're climbing up in the rankings. Our number 9 team, Wasted Talent. Our 8th ranked team, and they've been stuck in this same area for a while. They play better than the teams below them. They haven't been able to knock off the teams above them. But they try. They work hard. Athletes all over the place. Gimmick offenses and schemes that will catch you sleeping. And when they come out ready to play. They just come up short every week. I'm talking about the OTF Ducks, our 8th ranked team in the Grid Night League. Our 7th ranked team. Now this is a shocker here, because we know what they bring to the table. We know how good they are. The problem is they're stretched way too thin. When you got a team in both morning leagues, both night leagues. And even though your roster shows 25, 30 players, we know that 20 to 30 players aren't showing up every week. The problem with them is they're not getting enough players to show up for all these different games that they put themselves in. And it hit them this week, and it finally caught up to them because they were a no-show. And that's a loss. And it's dropped them down in the rankings. And I'm talking about no lacking. The defending elite champs have been dropping this season. Now, I don't expect that when it comes to the playoffs because I know they're going to come full force. But as of right now, ain't no easy wins, nigga. They took an L to wasted talent. And so, therefore, they're our 7th ranked team in the Grid Night League. Our 6th ranked team, there ain't no better. They still show up. They still put on. Always tell this team, proper preparation prevents poor performance. So they're coming out. But the problem with them is they need grip boost or something.
Hey, shut up! Give me the stick. Coach, ain't that stuff illegal? What are they gonna do? Put you in football jail? You know this don't look natural. Now you know it don't. Don't talk. We're gonna run the same play. Do you hear me? You're gonna catch the ball. Coach, I look like I just jacked off an elephant. Hey, say you understand. I understand. Okay, now go out and catch the ball for a change, all right? All right, come on, let's go.
Because they suffer dropsies every single week. Every week you can see one drop touchdown here, one drop touchdown there. And it's probably playing its part on their defense because the defense has been phenomenal all season. This week they weren't. And maybe their offense needs to step it up and their defense is getting tired of it. We're talking about second to none. They're our 6th ranked team in the Grid Night League. Our 5th ranked team, they jumped up 2 spots. Again, talented team, scrappy team, will run the ball down your throat and will quietly talk trash to you. See, a lot of teams are real loud, cussing. That ain't what they do. They get up close and personal. They get in your ear, talk trash. The crazy thing is they talk trash even when they lose. So guess what? You can't hurt their feelings. So when they win it, they gonna definitely give it to you. I'm talking about balls deep. This is a team you really don't want to see on your schedule. Now they got a tough game coming up next week against. They got a tough game coming up this week, and you'll see what they're truly made out of because they are a very, very talented team going up against the Sin City Goons, which is, or the, let's call them the Cobra Goons, maybe the Sin City Kai, but it's the combination of Sin City and Cobra Kai, led by T. Jones, JB, Measy, the Matt brothers, and all of the rest of the staff. The Cobra Goons come in as our number 4 ranked team. They went out and handled business. Pitched a shutout. The offense does what they do. They never get too high, never get too low. Very interesting matchup this week, though, between them and Balls Deep. It's going to be a very, very competitive and well-fought game. Our 3rd ranked team, they were once number 1. And it's tough to drop a team, especially when you have a forfeit, especially when it's a forfeit because you're playing in a tournament. Then they come back and they faced another team and lost a very close game. And they went out and destroyed their opponent this week. I'm talking about the Gridiron Gang. They do what they always do, put up points, and put up points in a hurry, in bunches. Scooter is balling out. Tim Huff playing like the monster he is, but it's that quiet assassin. He talk a little bit of trash if you get under his skin. He'll try to dance on the pole a little bit, but Brandon Swink is out there balling this season, playing center, playing tackle, going out wide out. Look, they got all the horses going, and I haven't mentioned Munchie one time this season. It just goes to show you this team is stacked. And when it's ready to play, that's a team you don't want to see on your schedule. Trust me, I know personally. our third-ranked team, the Gridiron Gang. Now, drum roll, fellas, because we're getting up to the top 2 teams. And, I mean, I guess we pretty much know how it shapes out. Because our 2 top teams battled this past week in the game of the year. Not just the week, not just this season. I'm talking about the game of the year. We had Hemocracy versus Justice League. And obviously the winner of this game was going to be number 1 ranked in our league. It was a close game that went down to the wire, went down to the last play. The player of the week, Shamario, balled out and showed who he truly is. However, the loser of that team had the drop. I'm talking about Hemocracy as our number 2 ranked team. It's no shame losing to a team as stacked as Justice League. We know them, they go by different names. Justice League, Serial Killers, Goonies, LOL. There's a couple players here or there, but for the most part, that core is still the same. And when it's ready to play, and when you talk a little bit of trash and they get up for the game, oh, they gonna show out. And they did. Heem felt that, but Heem didn't back down. They went toe to toe. And Vince, I've already warned you about violating Pola. I got something for you again this week. I told you, if you're gonna violate, you're gonna get violated. So next week, I got something for you again. Matter of fact, you guys play second to none next week. So I think the whole goal is to keep you and your teammates off that pole. But for right now, Hemocracy is our number 2 ranked team. Ain't no shame in their game. They played hard. And I don't expect them to be lower than this ranking for long. But our number 1 ranked team was the team they lost to, and I'm talking about Justice League. They came out and balled, as they always do. They're undefeated. What else can you say about it? Now, this team has gone undefeated times before. They've won championships before. They got the rings to show for it. They just really doing their everyday thing. Is anybody strong enough to knock them off? Now, they might have a trap game this week, because sometimes you can be feeling yourself. Being ranked 6-0, being ranked number 1, and they're playing the defending champion, No Lacking. Is No Lacking going to come and ball out? Or are they going to be stretched in again? Either way you have it, I tell you, this is the most competitive league in Las Vegas. Ain't no easy wins, nigga. Every week, there's multiple games of the week. Now I'm trying to decide, and y'all let me know which one should be the game of the week. Should it be Justice League versus No Lacking? Heem versus second to none? Sin City Cobras versus Balls Deep? We got some talented games coming up. We got some great games coming up. So those are the rankings in the night. Like I said, we work from the bottom up to the top, right? Ain't no easy wins. But we're 7 games into the season. 3 weeks left, fellas. So let's kind of talk about, we've gone over rankings. But what I like to do is look at, if the playoffs started today, what would those matchups be? It's an interesting thing to look at, let you know where your team is. In the mornings, if the playoffs started today, now of course, there's more games to play. A lot of these teams are going to still play each other. But just for shits and giggles, in the mornings, our number 1 seeded team would be Hemocracy. They would get a bye. Our number 2 seeded team, if the playoffs started today, would be the Sin City Goons. Based on head-to-head record and point differential. In fact, because it will be some different ties in there, so tiebreaker would come in. And again, this is just talking right now, but it'd be Sin City Goons as the number 2 ranked team, or number 2 seeded team. They would get a bye. So that would make Serial Killers versus Cakes and Snakes in our 3 and 6 matchup, and All the Smoke versus The Last Dance. Interesting playoff seedings, if it started today. Same thing in the night. Now in the night, it's divided between the Elite Division and the Comp Division. And everybody's fighting to get into the elite division. Because when you're elite, you get the rings. So, at night, obviously, if the playoffs started today, Justice League would be the number 1 seeded team. They're undefeated. Heem would be the number 2 seeded team. Now, they have the same record as our 3 and 4 team. They're all 5-2. The difference is Heem has beaten both teams. So Heem would be the number 2 seeded team and get a bye. Our 3rd seeded team would be the Cobra Goons or Sin City Kai, however you want to call them. But Sin City Goons / Cobra Kai would be our 3rd seeded team, playing no lacking in the first round. And the Gridiron Gang will be playing second to none in our 4 and 5 matchup. If the playoffs started today in the Night Elite Division. And of course, our comp division would have Balls Deep as the number 1 seed in the comp, playing No Limit, our number 4 team in the comp, and Wasted Talent playing the OTF Ducks in our 2-3 matchup. Again, that's just looking and forecasting right now. So teams, don't take these next few games lightly. You want to get that ring and win this Grid Cup, you better start bringing it right now. As I say, no easy wins. And as you can see, with the rankings, the playoff brackets, and your schedule, you better bring it each and every week or you will take that L. With all that being said, that's your week for the GridCenter. Week 7 is done. Looking forward to week 8. When y'all ready, I'll see y'all out there. Your boy Sherm.